I've recently found myself in the basement of my biggest fan. Well, not my biggest fan. This is Scott. He is quite big. He's about, what are you, 6 foot?
6'5".
You're about 8 feet. And for one of the first times ever, and I know a lot of you guys want to see this, is me tour your guys' fish rooms. And I'm very privileged to be in the basement of one of your guys' places where we're going to tour his little nook, which is incredibly interesting. What I'd like to start out with is a basic walkout or a breakdown of your aquariums. Let's start with this one right here. And then I got to admit, I'm noticing a tremendous amount of do-it-yourself that I really want to get into and talk about. But for the most part, just explain to me what we're looking at right now.
So this is a 180 bow front that I took the birch logs that you can get from like Hobby Lobby, things like that, and I cut them in half and siliconed them to the bottom of the tank. So I kind of made that standing logs. And it's kind of turned into a grow-out tank right now.
What? Whoa. So I was looking around a few of your aquariums. I thought this was Aqua Decor. These are birch logs?
Yeah, they're just birch logs that are like from Hobby Lobby, or they might be Tractor Supply as well, just for like the home decor. And I just cut them in half. They were 4 foot and then siliconed them to the bottom, so they're just standing.
Well, birch is a hard wood, so I would expect it to sink after time. Did you coat them with anything?
I coated them with an enamel that way because I couldn't get the bark off. That way the enamel wouldn't, that way the bark wouldn't rot. And so they're pretty much will have never have any issues besides just algae growing on them.
Well, algae obviously gives it a newer look. So this is a 180 gallon bow front. The scape is obviously, what kind of sand is that?
Pool filter sand.
Yeah, there you go. Pool filter sand is not always going to be the same grain size either. The pool filter sand that I get is a little bit coarser.
And then the rocks are from Home Depot. They are Mexican pebble stones.
What, you got all kinds of fish in here. What is the purpose of this tank?
It is going to be a South American tank with the Geo, the Sevrums, and the Angels. Right now, the Geophagus savini, which is freaking out.
Oh, you call them Savini? I call them Savini because I'm fancy.
I'm not fancy.
I'm not fancy. You are from Ohio. That makes sense.
It's going to be their tank, but it's kind of turned into a grow out for my Bala sharks, which will go into my 400. A silver arowana that is a baby right now.
Where?
He's in the back.
There are no silver. Oh, there is a silver arowana over here.
And the cigar barbs.
Oh, the cigar barbs. Sevrums. Oh, there it is. It's a little sliver. So the do-it-yourself aspect to this one was, of course, and maybe that's what we should do, is break down every aquarium. And then perhaps that should be it instead of circling back, because I see a bunch of things and then they're all wrapped into one thing. But this, I took a look at this aquarium when I first walked down here and I thought to myself, the standing logs you got from me. And I know you got those from Aqua Decor because Aqua Decor makes logs that looks just like this. But it turns out Aqua Decor even tricked me. These are real logs. And you're having success with them, and it looks fantastic. I would have preferred, since they're actually birch and you paid so little for them, I want more. I wouldn't mind seeing more in there, but it looks good. I like it. And it is a grow out. The cigar barbs are crazy.
They'll get, I think, 18 inches.
18 inches for a barb?
Mm-hmm. They say 3 foot, but I've never seen them bigger than 18 inches.
If you say so. And then we go on to what I think is probably one of your favorite tanks. This is an acrylic aquarium, obviously. I usually like to take measurements of the thickness and the length and dimensions and find out how a tank was built. You obviously built this stand. It's not made of press board, so you probably built this?
Yeah, out of 2x6s and 4s.
2x6s and 4s. I just want to see the design real quick. But a lot of this looks familiar.
Because from your video.
Okay. This tank, at least from the description of the rest, is this tank's purpose is to grow fish, to maybe perhaps add to this tank eventually, and then you have a few more tanks that are super cool. But is this your baby?
It is. So these are my rays. I have a male and a female. They were sold to me as albino hets. Not really sure if they have the albino gene or not. So I bought this tank from a manufacturer in Pennsylvania, the tank was 7 foot by 40 inches by 24 inches tall. And then I've drilled all the holes in it to have the filtration on a sump.
Yeah. I would say that this is definitely a Bosmani pearl, and this is probably a Motoro pearl. And the babies will be relatively interesting, but might be a little, well, we'll see. I did tell you earlier that I think your female is pregnant. I also see a couple of Oscars.
Yeah, I've got 2 Oscars in here. I've got another one growing out for this tank. I'm not sure if he'll go into this one or the 180. I'm not sure if they're a bonded pair. I bought them as babies about 8 months to a year ago, and they've just lived together and never fought, always been swimming together for the last pretty much year.
This one here is what, like a copper?
Yes, they were just assorted Oscars.
Well, this one's definitely a copper.
The one in the back, I think, is a wild type.
Yeah,
he
wild
doesn't really
type.
have any color on him. He just kind of resembles the wild Oscar.
Well, you gotta appreciate the wild Oscar because it's why Oscars are so darn popular. What's special about this aquarium?
So it was custom made, where it's 7 foot by 40 inches by
It's quite
24.
wide, yeah.
I purposely bought it for rays due to the fact of always had interest in them, did a lot of research on them, knew they would need a deep tank. And then it being in the basement, I knew having a tank this size, there was no chance of me getting a glass tank down here.
Yeah.
So it's my currently only acrylic tank. And then I just had the back and the bottom, as you can see, they're a black acrylic, so I don't need any substrate besides the little bit that the rays have pushed behind the fake stump.
Well, stingrays have always been a game changer for me. It's like a hobby within a hobby, but it's a level above. You need to provide them with a specific type of filtration, as well as tank size. And I remember specifically when I first wanted to get into rays. And do you know the story?
I do. You were trying to, if I remember correctly, you were going to a store, you fell in love with them. You couldn't, they didn't sell the tank, so you realized you had to either buy one or you had to build one. They didn't sell the food, so you had to make it yourself, and they didn't sell the filter.
I'm so proud of you right now. But that's true. It's at times, it's at that point in time in my hobby, it was more so about, I'm not going to let the industry control my passions or my interests. And I've dealt with, behind the scenes, a tremendous amount of adversary complications, I guess you could call it, where the industry didn't like me, but you created me. So I have to admit, as I look around, and I know you love your rays, I know you love the dimensions, and I'm a huge fan of everything that's going on with it, but as I look over here, I see an aquarium that is oddly very well aquascaped. That's not even really all that aquascaped. It's just providing me with so much depth and a tremendous amount of perspective on the fish. It just looks really, really cool. Walk me through this one, Scott.
So this is a 180 gallon, just normal 6x2x2. It has a rescue red devil in there. He's probably the nicest red devil I've ever had. Does not attack any fish. And then my wife is in love with parrots. So there's I think there's 4 of them in there now, where she just has fallen in love with them. So they're kind of like his mini-me's that follow him around. And then as you can see, swimming to the front, there's a black belt. that I've always loved black belts. He's slowly growing and getting his attitude. And then there's a couple Jack Dempseys in there that are hiding. They love to hide and love to hang out near the bottom.
Everybody wants me to keep a Jack Dempsey. I just don't. They get their name for a specific reason.
Mine have never caused issues so far. I think that's mainly because of the size difference of the red devil. He doesn't like me, but he's never attacked another fish. And then all the rocks are fake. They're from Universal Rock, actually. And then all the wood in its normal pull filter sand.
I really enjoy the scape, as simplistic as it is, with the black background and the lighting, which we got to get to. But with the algae growing on it and then the odd twig and stick. Did you know you were creating depth? Like, as we look at this, it looks really, really deep.
So
It's only 2 feet.
I've always loved the black backgrounds because I feel like it just makes the tank look better. Hides all my plumbing, hides all the canisters, everything. Really just, I'm not much of an aquascaper, so it was more, I would put a rock in, step back, see what it looks like, see if it can create the lines of sight that I need to break for these aggressive cichlids, and kind of give them some places to hide from if they decide to get a little how they can be.
And then moving up, we have the pothos on the top of the aquarium. Why are they here?
Mainly to help with filtration, so every tank is connected. So all three, both 180s and the 400, go into one sump. So it's really just to help with the filtration. I also think it just looks good. I have a lot of fake plants on other tanks, and this is just a way that I can just help myself do a little bit less maintenance. Maybe only do the water change once a week instead of twice a week.
Yeah, pothos is a natural, it's a way to extract nitrates from your aquarium, yet using the lights that you already have on the top of your tank. If I wanted to start this, wouldn't it be fair to say that I could just snip this wherever, kind of below some leaves, snip it here, toss it in a tank, just the stem, roots will shoot, and we'll begin to have this sort of thing?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. My wife bought one as a hanging basket, and then I just stole one little stem. I stole 3 of them, so you can see there's one here, and then one on that side, where all 3 have kind of just started taking off and then helping me out.
And in the home, these will grow up your walls. Look how green and lush these are. They just sucking the nutrients out of the tank. I've seen these in the wild, and they grow to, well, not as big as you, but they grow to almost as big as me. The leaves themselves. Absolutely massive. It's such a diverse and easy plant to keep. I learned about this from my grandma many years ago, and I've incorporated it into a lot of some of my earlier aquariums, but I don't do it as much anymore because at one point the gallery was too humid. But you're just in your home, and these guys are doing absolutely phenomenal. As we round the corner here, what do we got on the go here?
So this is just a rimless 65 I got for free off Marketplace like 6 years ago. It's a quarantine tank right now, kind of a grow out tank. A lot of these fish I've had for more than 3 or 4 months. So I've got, I think, 4 firemouths in there, 2 Viejas and Spillum that are of course hiding, 2 Starry Night cichlids, and then a Oscar that was a short body, and I got him basically as a rescue. He was only $5. So
well, as soon as I came over to the tank, everybody's hiding, which is typical. So you built this stand. It looks like you might have built this stand out of some trim.
Yeah, I built both of them.
And then you have types of lids you like. This is obviously that greenhouse paneling. And just a desk light.
That is actually just a cheap LED aquarium light that came off of Temu. It was like $4.
We love Temu around here. And it actually looks really, really cool. circling back, how is everything filtered?
So everything but the 65 is connected through, on the two 180s, it's external overflows into a 75-gallon sump. The 400 has 3.5 inch holes
This is the
in it.
75?
Uh-huh. So it all goes into a 75-gallon sump. The 400, which is the Ray tank, drains into a Timu filter, which then is filled with both bioballs, and the bottom part is
You got
filled
like a
with,
fluidized chamber with some K3.
Yep. And then
Tons
it
of
has heaters,
sponge.
more sponge, more submerged media, some bioballs floating on top just in case
And
I
it
need
looks
them.
like the barrier for the K3 is just some lighting diffuser.
Yep, just some egg crate because the K3 is too big to fit through it.
Well, it seems to me as though the mythology behind this sump is just make sure the water flows over it and or through it, because we all know that bacteria doesn't care what it grows on. We just know that it's not a free floating bacteria when it comes to the nitrogen
Yeah,
cycle.
so the sump is fully just for biological. Each one of both 180s each have their own canister filters as well, which have filter floss and both sponge in them. And then the Timu filter up top is filled with filter floss, which is just normal polyester filling.
Right.
That kind of does all my mechanical for me, which opens up the full sump where with everything draining into the K3, then having to go through just the biological media, which came off of, I think, Amazon, just the big biological sticks. Just kind of filled it as much as I possibly could.
Now, one of the last things that I'm kind of noticing is you light your aquariums with anything from, I think I see shop lights back there.
That one's also
to
a shop light.
Maybe tank kit to, what is this?
So this is the just two 4-watt LED light bulbs. I took the planters and I painted them gray to match the stand. White
did.
on the inside,
These are, oh,
like the little pots. And then
quick question.
yes,
Where did you get that idea?
that would be you.
See how dope it looks? But you have a spin to it that you upgraded it and made it better. I think that personally, I'm going to copy it and not credit you,
It's fine.
and I'm going to pretend like it was my idea. But I think I know how you did it. Please explain it to us.
So I took conduit boxes, put them on the top, and then I bent the conduit and attached it with brackets to the back of the stand. I ran a wire down to it, spliced it, and attached it to a just a normal plug. So both of these are on the same plug, both lights, and they just run to a normal Wi-Fi little smart plug that I set a timer for each and every day.
Look how cool it looks, guys. This is why I did it, because LEDs, spotlights, house lights, etc., just those little screw-in lights are changing the game. And what if we could add them to the tanks? This is an idea that I think I did with the the silver dollars, or the red hooks, and my Asian arowana in a 375-gallon aquarium before the gallery existed. And I never forgot about it, because Tamara, doesn't this look like, don't these lights here look like he probably paid like $400 or $500 a pop?
They almost look like outdoor lamps, you would say. Like, they look good quality.
Yeah. Super, super cool. Good job on those. If I could ask you for one more favor, and it wouldn't necessarily be for me, but for everybody watching, if you could get everybody one piece of advice, or one tip that was a game changer for you, whether it was how you cover your tanks, the pothos, the lighting, water change, putting everything on a singular system, what would it be?
I would say for me was putting everything on a singular system, mainly because I was doing a water change once a week at that time I had probably 12 tanks running down here, where now only with 3-on-1 system, I'm able to just drain the big tank about halfway. Instead of it taking me about 6 hours, it takes me about 3 now to drain and fill it, and then all 3 tanks get their water changed and only one has to get their pump shut
So
off.
180. What's the gallons on this?
About 400.
580, and then this one's 180.
180, so
80, 360, and this was
about, it's like
760 gallons.
plus the sump price about 50-ish when it's a little low right now, but usually about 50.
It just makes life easier. And when you get into the big tanks and you have multiple aquariums, obviously there's the worry of cross-contamination. However, if Scott's been paying attention, we always quarantine our fish, no matter where they came from or who you trusted or whatever, unless the fish came from me. Then you don't need to quarantine them for anything more than 6 weeks. Every other fish, 6 to 8 weeks. But you should always quarantine no matter what. And would you say this would be your quarantine?
This is my quarantine and grow out. So there's fish that have been in here for a couple months, like the fire mouse I think I've had for 4 months, 3 or 4 months. They're just not big enough to go into their tank yet.
Go anywhere
So they're
else,
just going to
yeah.
stay in here.
Right.
Like the new Oscar, I got him about 3 weeks ago. So he's still got about, I'd probably say before he can go into any tank, I'd probably say another 2 months before I feel comfortable putting in with any of the bigger fish.
Right. Well, Scott, thank you for having me to not only your home, but inviting us to see your aquariums. And if you guys want to see me visit more of your tanks, please let me know in the comment section below. Reach out to me on Instagram when you know I'm traveling, and if I'm coming through your state or city or province, you never know. I might just drop by. I want to see it. I usually always see it all alone without my camera, and I'd love to bring you guys along for it. And if you enjoy this type of video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not already, and of course I will see you in the next video.